build the SEC Conference. We're going to build the best football program in the SEC Conference.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gale.
The kick, it's been blocked again! How about it? It's been blocked again! It's going to heat one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyree Cleveland! How about it? I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw. Pops and fires the ball over the middle. It's over! It's over! Got a touchdown! Norwich got a touchdown! Oh, man! Norwich got a touchdown!
Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out the winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium in Gale. It's your favorite Uncle Silk.
It's Dan.
And Delatorre.
Same corner, same time, and all kinds of weather, fellas. Week one has passed us by. How are you guys feeling today?
I felt better. Spiritually, physically, mentally. Struggling a little bit. Brooke's birthday's tomorrow. So
Morale is low in the Thompson household.
Happy B-Day, Brooke.
Yeah. So the game was Thursday. Went out for that. Did a DJ event Friday night. 2 friends. Met some Stadium and Gale fans. Shout out to them.
Nice.
Up late there. Went out Saturday. Went out Sunday. I'm struggling, boys. Today is not my day.
Some days you're the hammer. Some days you're the nail.
Right. Yeah.
Some days you're the pigeon. Some days you're the statue.
Yeah. Some days
Big
you're the
statue
bear,
day
and
for
sometimes the bear gets you. That's it is what it is. So, but we're doing well. How's everybody's weekend?
Oh man, the weekend was actually splendid, man. Thursday was another thing, but the weekend was beautiful, man. Fall is participating a little bit down here in South Florida this year, so nice breeze. Humidity is escaping me a little bit, so went outside, did some nature walks. College football is back. A lot of good games this weekend. Just locked in, man. Had a good time. My son had another football game. They got their first win of the season, so they're 1-1. So shout out to the Riviera Beach Chargers. But outside of that, man, not a whole lot going on. It's football.
It makes me think of like Arnold Schwarzenegger with his Go Chargers.
Nick, how was Utah?
Enjoyed Utah, man. Salt Lake, weird spot. Not like Portland weird. Just not a lot of people. It's kind of spread out. Looks like there was a lot of money in the 70s and 80s, and they built a bunch of buildings because it's like a weird older style.
Yeah.
There's only 200,000 people. I thought Salt Lake City was going to be huge in terms of people and busy, and it wasn't. Weird game day atmosphere. Kind of spread out. Not a lot of partying. I guess I should have expected that in the state of Utah. But drove down to Provo, saw BYU. Provo is beautiful. They have one of the best backdrops of any college baseball stadium. Tweeted a couple pictures of that. And went out to Park City. I think me and the wife are planning on maybe a January ski trip. We usually go to like Breckenridge or somewhere in Colorado. Might switch it up and go to Park City. Really enjoyed it out there. The altitude was just suffocating, really. I'll tell you that.
I've been to Park City a few times to go skiing. It is a great mountain. It is a tougher mountain, so just make sure you're ready for that. Lots of blues, blacks, double blacks. Saw Dan Mullen there last year. I'm not sure if you guys remember that story. He was out and about on what would be the first of thousands of vacations he has since taken since leaving Gainesville. But Park City's
or while he was in Gainesville.
Yeah, or in Gainesville. But Park City's awesome. Park City's awesome. Man, I'm glad you had a good time.
Everyone out there was really nice. They've got some Southern hospitality vibes out there in the West, but beautiful scenery. Just really, really beautiful scenery. Cool little stadium, little ass stadium, as some Florida Gators would call it, but nice stadium, really friendly people. Enjoyed the trip and got a little hiking done, a little miniature hiking, saw some waterfalls. It was all good trip, other than pretty terrible showing.
Yeah,
on the football field.
We'll talk about that here in a second.
For
If
sure.
you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button. Please share it, do all that kind of fun stuff. That helps us in the algorithms. Comment, do all that kind of fun stuff. But you know, we're here to chat as a family. We're not going to freak out either. I know a lot of people said we lied to them. We lied to ourselves. But at the end of the day, we are fans. We are going to have a good conversation. We are going to talk about areas of opportunity and hope that next week is a little bit better in week after week. But can't always cry about the spilt milk. But before we get into the show today, we want to give a shout out to our friends at the Gataverse. Go check them out. Gataverse, GATAVERSE.io, Gataverse.io. Go support our NIL as a university. Trevor Etienne has a card, a signed card. They're doing an autograph special there to support him, and then a number of other athletes, including the volleyball team. The volleyball team is 5-0 right now. 2 big top 10 upsets, or top 10 upsets this weekend. So go support Gataverse, Gataverse.io, and go support University of Florida Gator athletes. All right, gentlemen. Big news, obviously from the week or from Thursday night.
Oh, Gator. Real quick before we get into that, Dan. Everyone that came up to me in Salt Lake City said you listen to the pod, love the show. Appreciate you guys. Always appreciate hearing people that listen to the show and chopping it up with you guys when we're out onto the game.
Absolutely. And I think all 3 of us will be in Gainesville for the Tennessee game. Not
Yes,
this
sir.
weekend, but next weekend. So please, we will let you guys know where we're at. Everything else. I know Silk's doing a vlog. I know that we'll be out and about. Maybe saying goodbye to Balls and Salty for the final time. Who knows? But we'll be out there. But we will be out there for the Tennessee game. More details to come. So Gators do lose in Salt Lake City 24-11 in a game that honestly at times didn't even feel that close. At times felt much closer. Just kind of an odd game, just poorly coached, poorly managed, a lot of bad penalties, a lot of just shooting yourself in the foot. Gentlemen, before we get into the game itself, overall thoughts, just give me your just spitball here.
Quick spitballing, man, just bro, just, you know, you waited 9 months for that, right? Just underwhelming, you know, let down. Just from a organization standpoint, we're gonna lose some football games. You know, it's a battle. We're in like a rebuild mode, so we're gonna lose football games. But we want to see improvement from year 1 to year 2. And I understand that there's been a roster flip with Young, but just a very unorganized. I spoke all offseason about special teams. You know, seeing it's just monitoring that. I seen there's some progress there. And I didn't see any progress. I don't think any of us seen any progress in that manner. So just disappointed in the unorganization because, you know, we're going to lose some football games, but embarrassingly losing them. And I do think that was a winnable win. I don't think we lied a lot. I think I've seen some talented guys. We're gonna break down the conversation here and talk about, you know, offensive play calling and, you know, targets, who should be getting, you know, what snaps. And it's all game 1, so it's all relative. But I didn't see a team that was out talented at all. I think we got some guys. The energy could shift a little bit when it pertains to, you know what I'm saying, my front 7, I did lie about a little bit. Not front 7, front 4, I lied about a little bit. But I seen some sparks from the young boys, Kebby Collins, TJ Searcy. Yeah, those guys were just getting off doing what they had to do. So I see a lot of potential there. Devin Moore needs to be a starter, but not mad at my corners. Safety play could have been a little bit better, but overall the defense was okay for game 1. You know, they kind of settled down. They was put into some bad positions. Overall, it could have been an uglier game. Utah missed some opportunities on some deep passes as well that could have broke the game open a little bit more. But overall, the defense settled in and gave us opportunity to win. Graham Mertz was better than I thought he would be when we first signed him.
Mm-hmm.
But he can't be throwing 45 passes a game. When I seen Anthony Richardson do it last year, I was a little thrown back on what Billy's philosophy was going to be in Gainesville. When he first got the job here, we always saying that he may be a 60-40 runner. We haven't seen that yet, you know.
Right.
And I ended last show saying run the damn ball, and we still not running the damn ball like that. And I understand we got offensive line issues, but the first half we were getting 5 a pop. There was still no dedication to trying to get off in the run game, even when we was getting 5 a pop in the first half. If you take out the sacks, so
right.
Yeah, man, it was just a frustrating game to watch. Every time we seemed like we got a break, we would make a mistake in the special teams department at crucial times. It was very crucial moments in the game when you're sending 2 players out on the field the same number. You know, like I don't know, just super frustrating from that standpoint. Shank and punt. You know, we complain about not having a special teams coach, and then you see a boatload of special team errors. You know, it's like that's something we got to fix ASAP. That's overall. I could rant all day, and I do want to get into some good things. But overall, I've seen some sparks and I've seen some good things. But the unorganization left a sour taste in my mouth for sure.
Yeah, fielding punts inside the 5.
All off season.
That's freshman mistakes that need to be taught, though. Like I know Eugene Wilson just itching to make a play, and sometimes young boys would do that, but you cannot in a game like that. You know, you gotta flip the field somehow. But anywho, go ahead. I'm sorry, Nick.
All off season, it's the operation's better. It's not just year 2 for the players; it's year 2 for the coaches. It looked like game 2. That looked like a team that was in the first week of spring practice with 3 illegal formations, multiple false starts. I think 3 of them in the game. Special teams miscues. I went back and I was calling out special teams as early as the Tennessee game last year.
Yeah.
So this isn't a new issue on special teams. Do you need a new special teams coach? I think I said that last year, but do you need another analyst or do you need to move your staff around? Because you've got 10 guys on staff. So you'd have to fire somebody to bring somebody in to coach a position and then also coach special teams. I don't know if that's the issue. I see a lot of people saying play calling, but like the offensive line got bullied for 60 minutes. Florida couldn't run.
The play call still was atrocious, man. That shovel pass to the tight end, I don't
mind the shovel pass. I think it's a cute play call. If it works, you're thinking it's great. But
to him, personnel and play call.
That's what I was getting to. That's not the tight end. I'm doing it to. Hey, can I get Arlis Boardingham in? Can I get this to Livingston? I'm not shovel passing. You've got 7 tight ends. And I think that would be the 6th option that I would have used the shovel pass to. I don't mind the play call, but I don't love the personnel that you're using for that play call.
Right.
But I think when you look at it, Florida's throwing like 12, 13, 14 screen passes. In my opinion, that's because you can't run the ball. It looked like to me, being a Dolphin fan, watching the Dolphins play against the Patriots when they had Tom Brady and they couldn't run the ball. They would use those quick passes, shovel passes, screens as an extension of their running game. So Florida wants to run the ball. They can. How do we change our philosophy? Because we still need to have some sort of presence in the running game. And we're not pass protecting that well either. Let's get the ball out quickly into the flats, try to get some speed and space. So to me, it wasn't like everyone's hammering the play calling. Is the play calling good? Am I excited about it? No, but I think there's a reason why Florida called the plays the way they did. It's because the offensive line was just sunned for an entire evening in Salt Lake.
Right. Yeah, no, just a really bad, probably one of the worst offensive line performances in recent history. And that's saying a lot because we've seen some bad offensive line play. Damian George struggled. Jake Slaughter struggled. Austin Barber struggled. There's a lot of people from right to left that struggled in that game. They could not figure out how to run block for 60 minutes. Like you guys said, it was just a bad overall performance. Let's start and we'll break this down kind of position by position because it's not all bad. I don't think that the season's completely lost. I think that, you take out some of those penalties, you take out some of those miscues, that the turnover that, went right through Ricky Pearsall's hands where they go and score. There was a couple of different plays that were deciding factors in this game overall. So there is still some positives. I don't want to negate those. So let's start with Graham Mertz. I think it's the easiest way to start. overall goes 31 of 44, 333 yards, 1 interception, 1 touchdown. PFF gave him a 71.5 passing. But what'd you guys think of Graham Mertz?
I thought he was solid for what we need him to be. He made some good throws. He made some errant throws as well. Not going to play perfect. The interception was more of a timing thing. You could debate whether he should come down with that or not if it was thrown too early. But overall, I just think we're asking him to do too much. My expectations, and I said this all season, we run the ball, play action off of that. And if we get the guy that we saw yesterday, if we do have a solid run game, we'll play action off of what we saw Saturday, he'll be more than good for us. I do want to see us stretch the field a little bit more. We just need better separation. I've seen some he got some playmakers at wide receiver, tight end, but it's just the personnel that's in there sometimes. We can shrink this down to maybe 4 or 5 wide receivers that got buckets. Like Burks looked good. Caleb Douglas looked good. We know who Ricky Pearsall is. Eugene Wilson, every time he touched the ball, like just feed those guys. I understand we're saying like what the offensive line couldn't do, but every time Trey Wilson touched the ball, he got buckets. Yeah. So keep getting him the ball until they stop it. And that's more of my frustration was not just the play calling. It was like feed the people that are eating. I think some of it we was just trying to force feed guys that just didn't need to get force fed. Yeah. And, if you watch the Urban Meyer days, bro, when they couldn't stop Percy and Percy was hot, you just keep feeding Percy until they figure that shit out. And I think Eugene Wilson feed the hot shooter. So I think Graham Mertz was in good command. He was better than I thought he would be. I'm just keeping it a bean. I thought he handled adversity well. He was getting smashed. Like I know he woke up with migraines and headaches and body aches. So we didn't protect him well. He got hit a lot. He got hit a ton. We got in scoring opportunities and the offensive line just making mistakes several times. We left a lot of points on the field early in the game. You can't do that on the road. But outside of that, Graham Mertz was solid, more than solid. He's not an incompetent quarterback. I think we're going to be okay there. It's everything around him. I think the players around him let him down a little bit.
Yeah. Nick, let me just run through a couple things here. Gators threw 8 screen passes in this game against Utah, through 12 all of last year. Some other notes here. Graham Mertz averaged at 2.1 seconds throwing the ball after the ball was snapped. So again, you getting the ball out quickly doesn't leave you a lot of opportunity to throw the ball, especially the deep ball there. Florida attempted just 31.8% of their passes against Utah past the first down marker. Shout out to J. Bud Davis for that stat. That would rank as the 3rd lowest in the FBS for last season. And then I know Dave had this stat out there. Gators were averaging 7.6 yards per play on first down, and then averaged a third down of 10.2 yards. So obviously a lot of miscues along the way there. I thought Graham Mertz looked fine. Nick said fine plus a few weeks ago. I think that's what's to be expected. I thought that he did a little bit better than I thought he would, but when you have to be a one-dimensional offense the way that the Gators were on Thursday, you throwing the ball 44 times or whatever it was is just not going to be the way to win this season for the Gators. They've got to figure it out on the offensive line. They've got to figure it out rushing the ball, because this is just not going to be pretty. And the way that the offensive line is set up right now, I don't know if it's indicative of how the entire season's going to go, but the Gators are in shambles on the offensive line, and we'll get into that in a minute. But I thought Graham Mertz was fine.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I don't have any qualms with him.
I saw a bunch of people saying that they were complaining about Graham, and maybe it was only after a couple of those passes that he would want back. He's firing 98-mile-an-hour fastballs, 3 yards away from him and getting some incompletions. His numbers were inflated. The 70% for 333, that's inflated. Only 21 of the 33 completions traveled more than 10 yards in the air. I think I saw somewhere, I think it's Clark Brooks with SC StatCat. I think Florida's average time to throw was 2.1 seconds. So you're not going to have long developing routes. You're not throwing a 30-yard post when you're getting that kind of that bad of protection. But Graham was exactly what I thought he'd be. He's going to be fine. He's not going to lose you a lot of games. I think Silk hit the nail on the head. The interception is not really on him. It's probably on him and Ricky, just in terms of timing of a route. The ball did hit Ricky in the hands. I mean, it was quick. I don't think Ricky's head had turned around by the time the ball was thrown yet. But Graham was fine. He's going to be fine. I think he can probably do a better job of maybe getting Florida out of some plays, but there's not much you can do as an offense when you're losing the way Florida did in the trenches.
Yeah. So let's get into the running back game. Obviously, not much to talk about as a whole. The Gators. Let me just get the exact numbers here. Gators. Trevor Etienne goes 25 yards on 7 attempts. Montrell Johnson goes 6 yards on 3 attempts. Trayon Webb goes 3 yards on 1 attempt. Graham Mertz has 2 attempts for 17 yards. So ultimately, the Gators finished with 60 rushing yards without taking out all the sacks, 4.3 yards per carry. And then obviously you had a Graham Mertz fumble in there that I believe went out of bounds. But long story short, just not the way the Gators are going to win this season. Not completely abandoned the run in the second half. Obviously, you weren't getting a ton of yards in the first half, but completely abandoned it in the second half.
It was getting 5 a pop first half. Like, just keep it a bean. If you take out the sacks, like I was sitting there, shout out to everybody. I watched the game with Randy Russell and my guy Carl Hill, some Gator fans down in Lauderdale. But we watching the game, and I kept saying, like, the running game, it wasn't bad. As much we didn't get as much space as I wanted to first half, but when you look at the stats, we were getting 5 a pop. There was a point where we got a first down or maybe a couple first downs off of running the ball, and then we came back and threw 3 and got off the field. So I also think there's some jet sweeps and spreading it out, some things that we can do to loosen up the middle of the defense. We got speed and athleticism. I think there's some spreading out, some things that we can do to help us with the run game, even though we're a little shaky in the trenches right now. Just them guys didn't mesh well. As far as Mazuka being out in the spring, that hurts. And then you got guys that are in and out doing camp. And that's something that we all spoke on. Is just like, what's that chemistry going to be like? Offensive lines playing together, getting that chemistry, cohesion, all of that matters. 76, I don't know, brother. Yeah. I don't know.
You're starting to see why he got benched at Alabama. That's not a personal attack.
I thought that was DeLance, man. Like, for real.
That's a personal attack.
It's not a personal attack. I just thought I seen DeLance. I'll tell you what I thought. I was like, yeah. Come on, DeLance. I'm like, we got DeLance is gone.
Yeah.
Mason Halter action.
Silk hit Damian George with a Hulk Hogan style brother.
Come on, brother.
Hold on. Wait. CJ Dorsey talking slander about Australian punters. Utah's punter was an absolute weapon on Thursday. And he is from Bendigo, Australia.
That's where I'd want to be from if I was in Australia. Bendigo. Reminds me of Mandingo, but that's a different story.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Shout out to Jake Slaughter too, man. I appreciate everybody that's in trenches, but he had a rough go at it as well. We'll talk offensive line a little bit.
Yeah, geez. Nick, any thoughts on Rush? I mean, you can't really give much of an opinion, right? We didn't see anything.
Yeah, I mean, the recipe for dinner for Florida to get wins is not cooking with 44 passes a game. So yeah,
it's 2 years in a row. I think of this though. We've had games like that last year where it was like Anthony Richardson throwing the ball 40 plus times. Like, I don't know, bro. We were lied to as far as the coach we were going to get and the offense we were going to get. And I was expecting a run heavy, and us predicating a lot of what we do in the pass game off the run game. And that's not has been the case 2 years in a row, 2 different quarterbacks. Not mad at the way Mertz looked, because I thought he looked competent and he looked improved from Wisconsin.
Yeah,
but you're down 17-3. Then you're down 21 points. Like, some of it is just like, hey, and the new clock rules. Like, Florida got down quick, and like you can't run the ball. Now you have to throw to try to get back in it, and it just wasn't effective. I do think Utah kind of park the bus a little bit, like Chelsea over in the Premier League. If Florida can't run the ball, I think they're playing down. Now Florida's hitting these short little passes, and the clock's not stopping anymore for first downs.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was kind of like, especially that first quarter. I remember when the first quarter ended, I was like, how'd that happen? I don't like these the new clock rules. I think the game went too fast. I think if you're a college, like it's easier in the professionals. Like NFL teams are way better than college teams. If you're down 10 points, 14 points in the fourth quarter with like 12 minutes left, like that game might be cooked now, unless you get some kind of like fumble recovery, pick six. I think it's not going to be good for college football, and certainly not for a team like Florida, who has got a thin margin of error. And if they get down a little bit, like how are they going to win games?
I mean, down 10-3, 7-zip in the first half. It just wasn't no big leads like that for you to abandon the run early. I think that's still a manageable football game. You got to stay balanced and disciplined with your football. Like, football still has rules. I think Utah was fairly balanced with who they brought in. We got out coached big time. Like Kyle Whittingham did what he had to do. His starting quarterback's out. His second string quarterback's out. But he finds a way with the guys he got, the third string, use him for his strong attributes. You bring in Nate Johnson, and he's just a different type of weapon, and use him for his scrims. But we got out coached. It wasn't just it was the game plan altogether. You got to know your personnel. And like I said, we do got some issues here. But when I see the playmakers not getting fed, then it's like, okay, we got issues, but you also are not feeding the best players on the offense. It's too much. I know like Graham Mercer and Ricky Pearsall had some chemistry there, but it was a couple plays where he was just locked in on Ricky a little bit.
Yeah, no, completely abandoned the run from probably even before the start of the second half there. Didn't see anything out of the running backs in the entire second half. I understand that you need to go and get points. Gators had 65 plays this game. They averaged not much more than that in most games last year. They did 55 against Oregon State, 50 against Eastern Washington, 46 against Missouri, 48 against South Florida, 65 against Kentucky, 63 against Utah. So, yeah, the game is different now, but it's not like Florida was out of opportunities or out of plays. The plays that they had, they weren't able to do anything with until, you add some yards there late in the fourth quarter. Obviously, you get the touchdown drive and everything else, but completely abandoned the run, just not the identity this team is built for. If they don't figure it out quickly, and we'll talk a little bit about offensive coordinator, all that kind of stuff. It's not going to happen this season, so we can park that bus as well. But ultimately, Gators had an opportunity. They just 13 rushing yards total after you account for sacks, 333 passing yards. Just an abominable performance against Utah there. So, I mean, I guess that leads us to offensive line. Offensive line just looked not good. There's very few people that you can, I say, had a good game. I think Najee Harris probably had the best game. That's what PFF says too. Jake Slaughter looked bad. Micah Mazuka looked okay at times. Damian George, a bit of a turnstile. Jake Slaughter, who comes in for Kingsley Guakin, who's out of that game, allows 2 sacks, a couple hurries. But offensive line guys, we thought it was going to be thin, but we thought that front 5 was going to be good enough. Not good against Utah.
Not against Utah. We'll see how it all pans out because they got an opportunity. It's a long season. We won Utah last year, and then we thought we was, we were talking greasy. Heisman's, maybe we get 10 wins. And so it's a full season. And I seen how we responded last year after a W versus Utah. I want to see this team grow more and not – it's like the L's are okay. Like, I know we're gonna lose some games. It's just the unorganization, the all the other stuff, the penalties. That's what's like driving me a little insane.
Well, like defensive pass interference is gonna happen. You're gonna get called for a hold.
Right.
That's fine.
That's football.
Procedural penalties, like 7 of your 9 penalties were procedural. The coaching staff did not have the team ready to play, and you had 9 months to get ready for a huge season opener.
Correct.
So I'm done hearing about how much better the operation is in the offseason in year 2 because it didn't show on Thursday.
Yeah, they seem super organized when it pertains to recruiting and how the program is functioning from a lot of different standpoints off the field, but the on the field organization is a lot to be desired. What you got, Dan?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I don't know. I don't want to throw the season out. I don't want to start,
Not at all.
Creating issues where we don't know what those will evolve into. But right now I'm sitting with the Florida Gators offensive line that has a few capable bodies. Right now, I'm not even sure if it's those 5, right? I'm not sure of the 5 that are going to start if those are 5 good, strong SEC caliber offensive linemen. And then after that, I'm just not sure what it looks like after that, right? I don't know who's next. I don't know what the next guy or next group of folks that are going to step in and be that caliber of offensive line. We knew going into this season that Florida had a lot of new people that were going to be on that offensive line. You go and you get Micah Mazuka from Baylor, who seemingly had a good career at Baylor, was ranked highly. You go and you get him, but you don't really add anybody else. You get Lindell Hudson from FIU. Yes, the Keontae Goodwin situation is sad for all parties involved. But Florida's offensive line is down bad. Recruiting isn't great, and we've got $1.5 million in salaries tied up with 2 coaches that I don't know what happened against Utah. I don't know if it was the first game of the season. I don't know if it was a hostile environment in Salt Lake City, what it was, but that offensive line just does not look at all capable to compete in the SEC.
I didn't love that line from Billy, and I'm sure it was a closed press box. I was down there for the last 5 minutes of the game on the field. I'm sure it was rowdy. LSU Stadium is literally double the capacity.
Right. So
don't tell me you're having trouble with 54,000 people. Kroger Field later this month has more people. And a similar defensive front 7. LSU, Georgia. I don't want to hear, some of the procedural stuff was because of the crowd. Okay, well then don't even make the trip to Baton Rouge then if you couldn't handle 54,000 at Utah.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is one game. It's a small sample size. Can't ascribe everything that happened against Utah as how the entire season is going to play out. But right now, that is a massive concern that I have. And I thought that Florida's first 5, maybe the next 1 or 2 after that was going to be good enough. But what we saw, 76 was that was a struggle to watch, Nick.
The tackles, I think, were worse than the interior guys, maybe. Yeah. I've only watched the game one more time since I got back because we had a red eye.
God bless you, man.
Yeah. you burned the tape?
Yeah, I don't want to see that again, brother. I've seen it.
Burn the tape. Burn the tape and bury the ashes.
It was a tough watch the first go round, bro. I can't do that to myself, man. Self-love is key.
But I don't know that Kingsley makes the line as a whole that much better. Maybe he does just because. So I also didn't understand why you flip Micah Mazuka and Richie Leonard game week. They wear the 5 equals 1 hats. It is a position group where you have to play. One guy not doing his job ruins an entire play.
Right.
You could have a receiver run the wrong route. Hey, that's fine. You throw to somebody else so the quarterback can run. If the offensive line is off, the quarterback, like Graham Mertz was 5 times, is getting peeled up off the ground by one of the offensive linemen. I don't know that Kingsley makes them that much better. Maybe he does just because they have more familiarity playing. I don't think Lindell Hudson, who spent the last 4 years at FIU, is going to be significantly better than Damian George.
I like to see it.
And I think if he was, you would have seen him.
I think we should try to at least give it a go, see what happens, man.
Maybe dice. He's a gamer.
Maybe, bro. But what I seen out there was not a pretty sight, man, from just, a physical standpoint, assignment standpoint, discipline standpoint. It just was a lot to be desired from an older guy that you're getting to transfer in the trenches like Damian. coming over from Bama was super disappointing.
Yeah. Gators allow 7 hurries, 11 pressures, 3 sacks, 1 additional quarterback hit. PFF, Najee Harris, then Richie Leonard, then Micah Mazuka, then Damian George, then Austin Barber, then Jake Slaughter on their rankings.
Yeah, somebody in the comments, Q Lee said 2 false starts and a holding call from 76. And I think they were at crucial times too.
One of the false starts could have been called on 3 of the 5 offensive linemen. They just picked 76. But he had the first one of the day. He also had a holding. I think was the holding on that play where Graham ran for a first down, took a huge shot.
Yeah.
And then there was a holding that pushed him back.
A lot of inopportune times for those false starts too. A lot of 2nd and 1s, 3rds and 1s.
Goal line
shot themselves in the foot. Yeah.
Yeah. So you making mistakes at the worst times. I just seen a lot of young playmakers. I know we're talking about a lot of the bad things that went wrong, but I was impressed with our receivers. Caleb Douglas came alive. I know we probably get to slide over to receiver, and we'll talk about that.
No, we can just slide over now. Enough beating the dead horse. We all saw what we saw.
Yeah, we just got to figure that. We got 2 guys at offensive line coach. You're going into McNeese State. That's an opportunity to work on and fix some things, right? We're not going.
Let's not make it like an FAU game from a while ago.
The holding was on a pass to Eugene Wilson. That's the one where he got shot out of the barrel, right? I mean, I don't think I've seen a Florida Gator player that fast right away.
The kid's explosive, man.
Yeah, acceleration is really impressive. He gets the top gear, top speed real quick.
Yeah, you can't coach or teach that, and you can't play call that. You just put the ball in that a guy like that hands and let him get busy. Want to see Mazzell, another super fast guy, get some touches as well. But we got an opportunity just to wrap up my thoughts on offensive line. You're going into McNeese State. That's just a live scrimmage. You get to push these guys around and do some stuff. Nick, relax, bro. It's McNeese State. If we struggle with McNeese State, then it's definitely gonna get ugly on the social media streets. But I just see it as an opportunity to get some cohesion, to get healthy, and just to build your confidence back up before the home game at Tennessee. But we got 2 offensive line coaches. Let's see if these guys are getting, we getting our money's worth a little bit, because right now we're not. So we're gonna see if they can fix some things. It's a long season. I'm here for the long haul, man. I'm here for the journey.
Last week, McNeese played the mighty Texans of Tarleton State.
Right.
They gave up 52 points, 554 yards, 7.5 per play, 344 yards through the air, 210 on the ground, and 30 first downs to offensive powerhouse.
Nice.
Tarleton State.
All right, let's talk a little bit about receivers. Go for, again, 333 yards, 10.7 yards per reception, 1 touchdown. Caleb Douglas, great catch there. Give us your thoughts there. Ricky Pearsall, 13 targets, 8 receptions, leads the team.
Yeah, he was on a milk carton in the first half. Might have walked over to Graham and given him like a Rolex at halftime. Like, hey, man, I'm still here. You can throw me the ball. I think Ricky's going to be featured. I think Eugene Wilson will continue to get featured more. They went away from Marcus Burke a little bit, who I thought had 2 nice catches. I think that was on the same drive in the first quarter. There's some guys. And I think as you go on through the season, like, reps are earned in practice, but they're also earned in games. And if you're making plays in games, I think you'll start to see the reps, or at least you should, in my opinion, start to see the reps shake out differently. Marcus Burke made plays. Eugene Wilson made plays. The punt, fair catching a punt inside the 3, fresh from a mistake, running backwards. Honestly, super impressive catch on the punt when he ran backwards into the 5-yard line, catching it over his shoulder. But like, hey, rookie, don't do that anymore. That probably goes back to coaching and back to special teams. But I think you're going to start to see the guys who are making plays on Saturday will start getting more of those lion's share of reps. And I think that's Pearsall. I think Douglas. And we'll see if Andy Jean, he tweeted that he was hurt. If he'll come back, maybe get Aiden Mizell some run. But there's some guys that I think you have playmakers at receiver, and I was talking a whole bunch of trash about the receiver room last year, and now I think it's a good room.
It's definitely a strength. I thought those guys would perform very well at receiver. Caleb Douglas is just a baller. I think more jump balls to him, more passes down the field to him, and seeing if he can win some one-on-one matches, getting opportunities to win those, I think it's going to pay off. If we do it, but I'm not going to keep knocking on the same Eugene Wilson thing. I just think he deserves more targets, especially when you have a struggling offense, and it's hard to just cover a guy that's that explosive. But if we're just talking overall receiving, we might as well throw the tight ends into that bunch. Well, I like Jason. I like Jason Odom. No slice towards him. Jonathan Odom.
His dad's Jason, I think.
My bad. I got a little nostalgic. I'm not mad at him, but there was some opportunities where we were like, even not just a shovel pass. There was a good design play to a tight end in the flats. And if you get that to Arlis Bordenham or Livingston, like you might take that to the crib. To be honest, he had so much real estate, but you got a lot slower guys. So it's all coming down to just personnel and who's getting those reps, because the reps are shorter and the games are flying by. So being explosive, scoring, getting up early, all of that matters now in the overall game plan and strategy. So as far as the receiving corps, I do want to see some of the guys separate better. It was just some times where it could be the concepts. That's a possibility as well. But there was some times where he dropped back, nobody was separating. And I looked at the personnel. You look at the guys that were just making plays, none of those guys are on the field. So I would just like to see the playmakers, the guys that are actually getting the ball, doing things with it, not get locked on a Pearsall and predetermining some things. I think we're going to be more than fine with the receiving corps. It's just giving them time. We asking for deep passes, but at the same time, like by the time he gets to the bottom of his drop, if somebody's in his lap. So
Yeah, Florida was again. This is somewhat by play design, some way by the offensive line, but again, Graham Mertz was averaging 2.1 seconds between the ball getting snapped and him putting the ball in the air. So just not going to create a ton of opportunity for you to have that deep pass. I thought he had a good. Ricky Pearsall had a nice kind of longer catch in that game, but a lot of dinking and dumping down the field. But Eugene Wilson, I think, is a guy that, again, looked like he got shot out of the cannon. Marcus Burke played well. Ricky Pearsall played well. Caleb Douglas, again, good touchdown catch. I thought that he, again, played well overall. Didn't see a ton out of anybody else, so would like to see what that looks like maybe going in the future. Silk, you said Jonathan Odom, 4 catches, all 4 passes his way. He goes for 46 yards, 11.5 yards per reception. Tony Livingston gets 1 pass for 4 yards. Dante Zanders has 1 catch for 1 yard, and then just not a great shovel pass to him. On 4th down, Hayden Hansen gets 1 pass, and then Khalil Jackson got the first pass and catch of the game. But again, I struggle to look at the wide receiver group and saying, hey, they did a bad job, with everything that was given to them. I thought that they did fine. Caught a lot of catches, could have caught a few more. The interception with Ricky Pearsall ball, maybe he stutter steps. Maybe that's something that Graham Mertz wasn't expecting. Maybe he doesn't turn around quickly enough, but that ball got fired out of a cannon. He gets immediately hit. And then ultimately, you get the ball to Utah on the 10, 12 yard line or so. So long story short, offense would have liked to see a lot of things different there. Offensive line just, is the biggest glaring opportunity for the Gators to improve. And then obviously some of the play calling was just a little wonky. That's one thing. And I know somebody said it over here. It's kind of a funny comment. He said, small sample size, Dan, did you not see the 2022 season? Helen Keller did. Again, trying to look at each season in a little bit of a vacuum, but you almost have to look at the way that the Gators played last season, the way the Gators played against Utah. The Gators on offense, and Billy Napier is the offensive coordinator, so this is going to go back to him, do seem to abandon things very quickly and then never go back to them. And we saw that with the rushing game against Utah. So hopefully there's, again, some opportunity there for the Gators to improve, but play calling as a whole, just not great. Didn't give yourself a ton of options. And then when you did give yourself some of those options, those procedural penalties and everything else, just it was one thing after another, you know.
Somebody said, talk about Andy Jean's tweet. He just said, we just talked about it. He was injured. He said he was injured and he's leaving it in God's hands. Everything's not cryptic of I'm leaving the program or anything like that. He's just waiting on his opportunity, in my opinion, and he'll get that soon. We're young as hell. I know we're gonna talk about some defense, but we're super young. We'll see if it all pays off and how much they grow as the season goes. But I didn't see a offense that was, or a team that was, you know, it's in that as we were in the offensive line. That game was still winnable. You know, as bad as we were, we left a lot of opportunities and made a lot of mistakes. But that Utah team, and we could, you know, the whole season got to play out for everybody. And game one, you know, isn't an indicator of much. We learned that last year. Yeah, hit that like button. Shout out to Braxton. Smash that like button. It don't cost nothing to show love. We're going to talk about some defense here in a little bit. But long season ahead. We'll see how it all plays out. But I didn't think we were an untalented team. I seen some talent out there, especially on my defensive side of the ball. I was very impressed by some freshmen.
Yeah, let's get into the defensive side of the ball. Before we do that, go visit our friends over at Alumni Hall. Go use promo code Stadium and Gale at checkout. A lot of different things that they're offering right now. The season has started. The first game at home is this weekend. So go get your home field apparel. Use Stadium and Gale at checkout. Get 15% off of your order. Starter jackets, T-shirts, all that kind of fun stuff. Best vintage clothing in the game. Homefieldapparel.com. Promo code Stadium and Gale. Let's get into defense. Again, Gators do give up 24 points. Don't blame that 100% on the defense, except for the first play of the game, which just looked bad. Just overall, Gators put themselves in a really tough position there. But again, Kelby Collins, Shamar James, Miguel Mitchell, TJ Searcy, Devin Moore, I think played really, really well. But what are your guys' thoughts on the defense?
Hold on, pull Buck's comment up.
Which one?
Buck Wade.
All right. This one?
No, safeties.
Safeties ain't it.
Told you.
Yeah.
For the last month, told you that was not a good room. I like Jordan Castell. You're gonna take some lumps with Jordan Castell. RJ Moten got, I think, his only tackle of the game on Jason Marshall when Jason got burnt on that first on the first long touchdown play. The safety room's just
got dummied by the fourth string quarterback on that run play for a touchdown.
That was a good play call though.
Nate Johnson can scoot.
Yeah,
you gotta give it up to they called the right play for that zone, that coverage that we were in. So it was a beater, and they did their research as far as like what defense we were gonna be sitting in or what we could be playing. But they called out the gate, you know, a beater for that defense that we were in, and they hit, you know, at one of our weakest spots. But I like Jordan Castell as a young buck. That front four just got to make my safety's job a little bit easier. I know we talked about how bad the safety room could be, but we also hyped the front four. And shout out to my guy Princely. This is my guy, but he just came in and didn't perform up to the level of a guy that, you know, as an upperclassman, as a guy that's wearing number one, a guy that wants to go high in this draft and maybe leave this year. I didn't see it out of him this game. He set himself up a little bit pregame with some social media shenanigans.
Got trolled.
Just get out there and play ball, baby. You know, when you making the coach 30 on social media and he's making skits about you, it's not a good game at the ballpark, bro. So I like what
Coach 30 got him.
Yeah,
Coach 30 got him, bro. Yeah,
I missed it. No,
you go find it. It's still there. You got the opportunity to still watch it. It's pretty funny, but you gotta be able to laugh at yourself sometimes. Yeah. But I thought the young bucks that came in, they showed that Utah had a freshman at offensive tackle. When Kelby Collins came in, and seriously is just a man amongst boys. I don't care if our freshmen look like Bama freshmen now. I'll tell you that. When I seen Kelby Collins and I seen TJ Searcy on the TV, and I'm sitting there like, that don't look like a freshman. This is how Bama freshmen usually look. And those two guys from the state of Alabama, I thought they made that 76 on Utah looked like a freshman offensive tackle, and our number one guy didn't. So I know we got some issues with our safety, and we want to point fingers at them, but it all starts up front. And I think we should have applied way more pressure, and I was expecting way more pressure. Defense wasn't terrible, but I expected more pressure and more chaos out of Armstrong. Just keeping it a bean.
Yeah,
No
Gators
sacks,
and
2
with
quarterback hurries.
how many?
2 per stat broadcast, which I have up here.
Yeah. PFF, I think everybody kind of does pressures a little bit differently. They have the Gators with 10 hurries, 7 quarterback hits, 0 sacks on pass rushing. Kelby Collins again plays 8 snaps, but he's the Gators' highest ranked player on Pro Football Focus. Caleb Banks does well. Princey Uman-Milan just did 2 total tackles in the entire game. Didn't make much of an impact at all. Defensive line didn't get a ton of push as a whole throughout. Now there were certain players, Kelby Collins, at times looked really, really good when he was out there, but that defensive tackle group that we thought would make a big impact, your Cam Jacksons, your Chris McClellans, your Caleb Banks, Desmond Watson, just kind of ate up space just against slow. It's tough to play. There was a comment, Kirk Herbstreit, I was at the bar watching it, so I didn't get the broadcast, but Kirk Herbstreit called it out, I guess, about the fast twitch guys. The defensive line just doesn't make an impact. And when that happens, you give the other team an opportunity to move the ball, even if it's at, 5, 10, 15-yard clips, the way that Utah was moving the ball. But,
to be fair,
go ahead.
I mean, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say it relies heavily on that defensive line to go and get to the quarterback to force them to make decisions. And then obviously every layer after that is leaving themselves more and more susceptible. And ultimately that's what you see with the safeties and why they're not able to make good plays. Again, we can talk about them in the talent in the room there in a second, but again, it goes for that offense or that defensive line group to go and get to the quarterback quickly.
Yeah, I thought the defensive line did well in interior with the run game. They started getting busy with the Nate Johnson. They started doing some read action stuff later in the game. But just trying to run between the tackles, I thought we were pretty stout. Shout out to Cam Jackson and defensive tackles in that fashion. But like as far as collapsing the pocket, a lot of that stuff that we taught, I didn't see a lot of that. Moving the lunch spot of the quarterbacks, I didn't see a lot of that. But when it pertains to them running the ball, they didn't just run down our throat. I thought we were very solid in our run defense until they got into some read action stuff and got a little tricky. And I was worried about that because we didn't have a lot of that on tape from them. But it's a lot to be desired. And I think it's still more games to be played. It could be just one game. Maybe we start a little slow and then it sparks up a little bit here. But that's all I got right now for defensive line. There's more takes around. I thought Shamar James played a hell of a game. He's probably right now playing the best on the overall defense, I would say. Just a very special talent. He got sideline to sideline. I thought the defensive line did a good job of keeping him clean as well. He was able to perform as well as he did because a lot of the offensive linemen weren't getting on the second level and getting a hat on him. So in the run game, I'm not terribly mad at Caleb Johnson and
Caleb Banks.
Caleb Banks, Cam Jackson, and my other defensive tackles in that regard. I'm just like, as far as moving the lunch spot and collapsing the pocket when it pertains to them dropping back to pass the ball was why I was a little bit more frustrated.
Yeah. Nick, any thoughts on the defensive line before we get to the linebacker group?
Yeah, I think I said it on Gators Online. I don't know that anyone on Florida's defensive line is like all first team, all SEC caliber. I thought that having the depth that they had would keep them fresh. And a lot of the things that hurt Florida last year was Gervon playing 680 snaps, Dez playing nearly 400 snaps. But like, I don't know that it didn't show on Thursday. And listen, it's easy to have knee-jerk reactions because you wait and you build up the season opener, like Silk said, for 8-9 months. But like, it's just one game. And now we're not going to do the opposite. Like, you're playing in a terrible football team this week. So we're not going to sit here next Monday and go, man, they fixed everything. And then before you go into the Tennessee game, like, you have to keep everything kind of in perspective. And I know that as football season, you kind of go through these high ups and downs, and I just try to stay in the middle there. I don't think the season's over for Florida, but like I also thought it was a 6 to 7 win football team, and you can still get those 6 to 7 wins. I don't know if that makes anyone feel better.
Yeah, no, you still can. There's still a lot of opportunity to improve. Obviously, you get some players back that may have been out in that game, and then ultimately players hopefully working together and everything else. But you look at that schedule, it's daunting. It is going to be a daunting schedule ahead. So you've got to figure it out quickly. You use the opportunity against McNeese State to build yourself some confidence. Like Silk was saying earlier, you try to go, you get some points, you try to figure out some things, you try some things out. But I don't know. I'm not usually a negative guy either. So let's talk.
I'm agreeing with Jeremy Calhoun. Like I'm seeing like Billy's got to be fired, all this stuff. Like how I started covering Florida in 2013. You can blame the last 10 years on me.
Mm-hmm.
But like how often are we hitting the reset button?
Right.
And just starting over. Like give him 4 years, give him 5 years. He's got to have some time. And like if you fire Billy Napier, and I don't think Florida will fire Billy Napier at all after the season. I don't think he's on a hot seat unless you're going 2-10 with your only wins over Charlotte and McNeese, then maybe. But like I get it. I get frustration, but like we just keep hitting a reset button here in Gainesville, and it's just Groundhog Day over and over again.
Yeah, no, I would agree that Florida does need that time. I think what Florida fans do want to see with that time, though, is some improvement, right? And making sure that you're giving the time to the right person, right? So, is Florida getting better on those procedural penalties? Are they recruiting better? Are they getting the guys that they brought into the program to make an impact? That's what I think Florida fans want to see. It's not just we dislike Billy Napier as an individual or that they don't think that it could potentially work out. It's I want to see these things out of the Florida Gators, that if we are going to give that time, that the time is working in the right direction and not just an arbitrary amount of years, right?
I think the best players on the team are the guys they've brought in, whether it's Ricky Pearsall, Graham Mertz, or the anyone that's a sophomore, redshirt freshman. Like I think you're just going to take lumps because the best players on your team are in their first or second year. I think they're doing a great job recruiting. You've got to keep this recruiting class together, and I think DJ Lagway will be a huge part of that because I think he's solid, and he's the kind of guy that players want to play with. Right. So you've got to keep this class together because, like Dan, you mentioned that schedule. I look from Georgia on, there's not many wins in my opinion from late October to the end of November. You have to stack wins, and I think I said that here and on Andy Staples' show. Like you need to get your wins early in the season. So like,
yeah, but going back to a point that you just made, Nick, like I mean, the biggest issue that the Gators had on offense was the offensive line, and we're not seeing the Gators go fix that problem either. Yeah. Right. You were able to get a couple of guys to transfer in last season. You get an All-American transfer from Louisiana that comes over with you. But now you look at it, Micah Mazuka was a good get. We thought Damian George was going to be a good get. Obviously, the Conte Goodwin situation isn't something that anybody saw happening. But now you look at recruiting on offensive line, and you look at what Florida's future looks like there. I'm going to need to see some tampering, or that's going to be the big the silver bullet that I think that Florida won't be able to overcome. Is you can get your Eugene Wilsons, you can get your great skill players, but if you can't figure out that offensive line and you can't figure out how to get that rush on the defensive line, then that's going to be where Florida is really hindered, and where I want to see improvement from now to the end of the year is, hey, yes, Eugene Wilson's going to be great. These freshmen and sophomores on both sides of the ball are the ones that are excelling right now. But you can't also neglect that there's a couple of really big position groups that have been missing, and that's what Florida's biggest deficiency was against Utah.
They just need reps, man. Just the offensive line didn't get reps together in the spring or the fall camp. The guys were out. So most importantly, like that chemistry, being on the same page, trusting the guy beside you, everybody knowing their assignment, missing Kingsley was big. So I want to see us get back. I seen some terrible football across the board. I just didn't see the 2 number 3s going out on the field. A lot of the special team errors. But I didn't see great football out of South Carolina. I didn't see great football out of Tennessee. There's some very winnable games on our roster. We just got to figure us out, and we'll see what this team is made of. We'll see what Billy, if he's standing on everything he say he's building with this program. I expect them to bounce back a little bit. We'll see where we at with it. But that's my biggest thing is just I'm gonna keep saying is the incompetence. Like, we're gonna lose, and we've seen some guys out there. We're gonna continue to see some playmakers, whether it's on offense and defense. We've seen a lot of sparks from young boys, but the incompetence is crazy. And then I don't want to get caught up. I want to, and I'm gonna monitor this because we watched it with last staff. I understand that, and Princely's my guy, but if he's not playing the best, like regardless of number, regardless of status of where he's at as far as freshman, junior, sophomore, all that, like all that's cool. But you gotta play the best guys, and that's what I want to see. I want to see the best players get on the field when the opportunities, given to each one of these guys, opportunity to make plays, and some of these young boys are making plays. So, just play the best guys. Like, that's gonna do the fans some justice. That's gonna do the program per competition some justice. Same thing with the safety room. If anybody's making plays, put the guys out there that are making plays. Receiver, same thing.
Yeah.
Just play the best guys.
Yeah, I think you saw a lot of young guys play on offense and defense. Obviously they're still working their way in, but Kelby Collins looked really, really good. Shamar James looked fantastic. TJ Searcy looked really good. Devin Moore is very, very good play. Tyreek Sapp played well, I thought, as well. So, again, these are all guys that have been either recruited or brought up, through this coaching staff. And so you're seeing them make impacts. It's just those, like you said, Silk, it's those boneheaded mistakes that Florida was consistently making in this game where they shot themselves in the foot. Again, you don't make some of those, and then the game looks very different. Do the Gators win? Maybe, maybe not, but the game looks a lot different, and I think this conversation is a lot different. It's just all of those things that you hear talk about, just how organized everything is and how methodical they are with everybody's approach, and then you have the boneheaded mistakes, right? And some of that, a lot of that was on coaching. Right. You take out the false starts and that kind of stuff. A lot of it was on coaching.
Well, who's counting the players that go out on the field? Like,
nobody,
seriously,
apparently.
like,
Nobody.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that type of stuff. Like, it didn't happen once; it happened more than once. Who's the quality control over making sure the special teams? I know there's no on-field coach, but whose job is that? Who are we to hold accountable for not enough players? Too many players, same jersey numbers. I know Billy's at the top, but bro, you got to get a special teams coach. It's just not happening. You not even get the right amount of guys to participate in the game out there on the field. This is not Pop Warner football. You got to get 11 out there without the same number, my guy.
Yeah, there was multiple times. Obviously, we need to print out a new jersey roster list for Chris Couch and the special teams group.
It still would have been wrong because if Eugene had 21, if he had 21, he was still getting flagged. So it didn't.
Yeah. So you have that. I know that there's multiple plays. I think the Gators at one point had 13 players on the field on one play. I think on a punt or on a field goal block, they had 8 or 9 guys on the field, maybe 10. Based on the photo, it's hard to tell if there was a 10th
not
person
11.
on that field. Not 11, just not 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you were competing in the game, so I think just trying to make it fair, we'll play with less now. I think that was probably the thought process there.
Hey, go to hell, Nick. Go to hell, Nick. With gasoline underwear on, my guy.
Oh no.
Let's talk special teams. Gotta plant your feet at the 10-yard line, right? That's the rule, right? planting your feet on the 10-yard line on a punt.
Put your heels on the 10-yard line, and you don't take a step back. If the ball's going over your head, get out of the way. Yell poison, yell kill, whatever it is to the guys running back at you to get them away from the ball. Fair catching at like the 4-yard line. Listen, I'm not calling for Eugene Wilson to be taking off punts, but coach my guy up. Like, he needs to be back returning punts because I think he might be your best option to take one to the house. But you just got to tell him, like, hey, we're putting our heels on the 10. If you have to take a step backward, you don't. You run forward and you tell everyone else to get away from the ball.
Yep. Opportunity for improvement there.
I don't even mind that. Like those are like classic football freshman mistakes right there.
Yeah.
You know, especially on the second one, he's trying to make a play. You don't want to do that, but I get it a little bit. And you could coach that up. I'm fine with the mistakes, but to having 2 number 3s on the field at the same time at a crucial part of the game, like, we just got a great stop by the defense. Momentum is shifting a little bit, and then you just shoot yourself in the foot.
Yep. And then obviously we have Jeremy Crawshaw has 4 punts, 3 of which were good, 1 which was atrocious at a very inopportune time. Nick, I think what?
It looked like the punter on my son. It like the punter on my son's team for sure.
Never
on that one.
And then obviously the kicking woes continue. Gators have 2 scholarship kickers still miss a 31-yard chip shot in that game. And then that game, the ball gets flipped. You know, that's a 10-point swing. You miss the field goal. Utah goes down and scores a quick 7. But special teams as a whole, kicking, punting, kick return, punt return, all could use a lot of help. Maybe not kickoff, but everything.
What's the name of the job title again? Game changer?
Game changer, baby.
Yeah.
Well, they changed it. They sure changed the game with this one, boy. I tell you that.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Might want to call them the channel changers.
Yeah.
Watch out, man.
Yeah, Nick's been working on that one.
Yeah. That one in the archive.
Yeah. So a lot of opportunity.
Changers.
Spent my whole 4-hour flight back working on that one.
Shout out. Any final thoughts in the Utah game before we move on?
Man, what a missed opportunity.
Yeah,
I think we could have upset those boys with the right game plan, right mindset going in. I like any Gator players listening to this, or if this gets to the Twitter or the social media ways, man, lock in. Like, get off of social media. Like, don't go into teams. Go into team stadium ready to beat ass, to make plays, not to troll and to get likes and social media. Like, lock in. Play football. Like, lead younger guys on the team. Like, focus. That's the stuff I want to see change. We've had these type of leaders in the past where it's me. Lock in, be about the team, be selfless, and play some fucking football, man. All this cute stuff on TikTok, man, play ball. Utah came out there and played ball. Everybody in the SEC we gonna face gonna come play football. You're not gonna win no football games on social media, none with the highlight film from the coaches or none of the likes. You gotta show up to play some fucking football, man. I'll excuse my language.
Yeah. Nick, final thoughts.
As a fan, flush it. Like, you're not learning anything from it. It's not gonna help you get ready to tailgate on Saturday. As a fan, flush it. Forget it. As a coaching staff, as a player, hey, we're gonna need to go over some stuff. As a coaching staff, I hope you look at that and take it personally. Because you
or not to
each coach, and you did not get your position room ready to play. Billy Napier, you did not get your football team ready to play. Florida, you can't tell me, was a well-coached football team when you've got 6-7 procedural pre-snap penalties, when you've got 2 guys wearing the same number on the field on a punt, and you did not get your team ready to play when you've got 8 guys, 9 guys on the field for a field goal block or field goal PAT, field goal, whatever. So as a coaching staff, you need to have a long, hard meeting because you did not do your jobs for the first game of the year.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll look back at this one and hopefully again opportunity to get better, to improve. Don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater just yet. However, there are some glaring things that are starting to add up. It's hard to say that this is a one time look in a vacuum situation, because there's some trends that we're seeing here. There's now an opportunity. You have a staff of, I don't know, 100 plus people now to be able to go to look to get better and go into each and every game and focus. So
I don't care what happens going forward. Give me a special teams coach and offense coordinator, period. You know, that's just what's needed. It's just, you know, it's a lot, especially if you don't want a special teams coach, then hire me offense coordinator and you run it like Urban did. Urban was the special teams guy. He oversaw that, make sure it was all fire, not to compare the two guys, but if you want to be strategic and a little bit different with the staff you're setting up, then you're going to have to change something because it's not working. And you got to adapt. So I want to see these coaches not adapt. And you don't have to wait till the end of the season to adapt neither. You can adapt right now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what good coaches do. They adapt, they change, you know, you find solutions. So I want to see this staff find some solutions when it pertains to special teams, the play call, and all of that. Like now, we don't have to wait till the end of the season to go offense coordinator shopping. Is there if there's other guys that's passing coordinators, analysts, get in your room, get plans together that make more sense. Can we get better in this aspect? And let's get better right now on the fly.
Yeah, what's that? The quote, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So opportunity for the Gators to try to not do the same thing over and over again and hopefully get a different result, which is likely to be expected this weekend against McNeese State. Before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at FanGo Tickets. Go visit fangotickets.com. If you're a Florida Gator fan, a Tampa Bay Bucks fan, or a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, you can put your season tickets up Airbnb style. We are fortunate enough to make a Gator that was going out to Utah, get him tickets using FanGo on I think Wednesday it was. So shout out to those guys that were able to go to the game because of FanGo tickets. So again, go visit fangotickets.com and go support a Florida Gator alum that is building a brand new business and hopefully changes the way that we do tickets. Gators play McNeese State. Nick, what were those McNeese State numbers?
The mighty, let me pull them back up. The
52-34 loss to Tarleton State.
Yeah, mighty Tarleton State, Texas.
Tarleton.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Tarleton put up 52 points. They outgained McNeese 554 to 278, averaging 7.5 yards per play to McNeese's 3.6, passed for 344, rushed for 210, 30 first downs.
30 first downs against them. So, again, we don't have a ton of analysis. We're not going to do a ton of analysis. We didn't even see if McNeese State had a beat writer this week. This is a game that the Gators should win very handedly. But we've seen that before. We saw it last season. But we'll see. So the Gators, obviously McNeese State is not very good. The Gators should, there's no line for this game. If there was a line, I would imagine that the line would be in the mid to high 30s for this game. What do you guys want to see other than probably just overall procedural improvement? But what are you guys looking for in this game?
Run the damn ball, work on what we need to fix, right? I don't know if we need Kingsley back this game. I don't know what his health status is really like. If it's going to be a season lingering thing, then let him sit and we can work on some things until Tennessee week, because we need him fresh and clean for Tennessee week. We don't need any injuries. So first of all,
he's dealing with a high ankle sprain, so sit him out
all season.
No need to throw him against the vicious Cowboys of McNeese. I think you ride Jake Slaughter. Pause. Let him play. Let Kingsley sit. You need him back for Tennessee. Tennessee game to me, I'll try not to keep going on a tangent here, but that Tennessee game to me is a must win. I don't know how you sell hope if you start with 1-2 with a loss to Tennessee and you still haven't beat a rival, another home loss. So get through McNeese healthy. A bar has been set by Tarleton. Meet that bar, please. Fix your procedural issues. Come out of the game healthy, no major injuries, and get ready for Tennessee and Josh get hypo.
Yeah, I think this team is better than what we saw last week, and we're not gonna find out who they are versus McNeese, but it's an opportunity for my freshmen to get playing time and reps. Like you should be able to play everybody. You should be able to change some things on the depth chart and see who your playmakers are in a game like this. Andy Jean, if he's back healthy, give me a high dose of Andy Jean, high dose of Andy Mazzell. Feed Eugene Wilson as much as you can early, and then get him out of there. Get up quick, and get young boys opportunities to play. That's what I want out of this game. Is just reps.
Yeah,
because this should be a layup drill.
Yeah, a confidence game. Be able to hit your targets, move the ball at will. Don't allow a lot of points. Get those young guys a lot of snaps. Stay healthy. Avoid the procedural penalties. And then ultimately just get yourself prepared for that Tennessee game. But again, not much is going to be gleaned from this game one way or another. Well, I guess there is a way if they don't look good at all. But this is an opportunity for these guys to go and rebuild that confidence. I would imagine that was a pretty somber locker room post game and on that flight home. So this is an opportunity to go out, execute well, and hopefully put yourself in a position because that Tennessee game is coming, and that is a pretty good Tennessee game, but again, a winnable game for the Gators if they don't shoot themselves in the foot. Any final thoughts before we head on out of here? We're not going to do over under this week just because,
overall, I thought Austin Armstrong's game 1 versus Utah, a very solidified program offense. I thought he held his own, more than held his own as a young boy, 29 years old. I think he came out and did what he had to
30.
do.
He's 30.
30. Okay, shout out, man.
Join the club.
Welcome to the 30s, Austin Armstrong. But I thought it was solid. Would have liked some more dialed up pressure. I thought we blitzed from way too far back a few times here and there. I thought we played in the zone a little bit too much, and they was finding the holes in that zone. But overall, we went 10 yards back. The secondary played better. I need Devin Moore to start. He almost came down with an interception there. He's just a difference maker at corner. But that's my overall, bro. Offense has got to find itself identity-wise because we are not a team that's going to be pitching around the yard 45 times. So 2 years in a row, we got to find our identity on offense. I'm seeing playmakers both years. Like last year, I seen playmakers. This year, I'm seeing playmakers on offense, but the feel for the game is a little off for Billy. That's why I want an OC. It's one thing to have a playbook, and sometimes he get into a good groove. Like on several of those drives, he had them off balance, and he was in a nice groove. But then situational, it was just like, yo, what the hell was that? Or the feel for the game, what the defense is allowing, where we're getting easy yardage and movement on, we go away from it. So the feel of the game, I think that's a talent. I don't think that's something you can just work on. I think that's just God-given, to be real with you.
Shout out to my guy. I was texting back and forth during the game with Richard Johnson, and then there was like 2 drives in a row where we're like, yo, Billy's finally getting in a groove. He's getting in his bag.
Right.
And then there's like a bad play call, and then just like another one, and then a punt, and then it's like it's over. And then, then the next drive is bad, and you're just like, okay, well, what happened?
Yeah. That feel for the game. Like he just randomly goes away. Sometimes it feels like he has a game plan and he's just gonna stick to that game plan. Even with the pace, we haven't talked about, and we got to get out of here, but I don't want to keep going back. The pace, bro, it was testing my anxiety. Like the pace of like, yo, we're down, and it was taking forever. And we dealt with this last year. How fast plays are coming in with a sense of urgency when you're down points, and the rules have changed. So that urgency, it definitely tested my anxiety, bro. It's just got to be a sense of urgency.
Yeah, the Gators down two touchdowns with about 6 minutes left, get the ball back. They were acting like they were up by 14 points. They were slow, methodical. I think they spent probably 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And they were only on the 30-yard line, right? So you've got to have that sense of urgency. You've got to figure out a way to make these clock rules work in your favor. But just that pace was slow. Time management was slow. The middle 8 didn't look great. I don't think that the Gators lost in the middle 8, just because I don't think that they were scoring, but just the overall sense of urgency just about the program, especially for, again, going back to the very methodical approach and the way that they pay attention to detail. This is just a very glaring issue that, again, happened last season and reared its ugly head again against Utah.
How about this, man? Let's start calling it the shovel pass, man. I keep saying shuffle pass. Maybe that's a problem. Maybe we're calling it a shuffle pass in the huddle, but it's a shovel pass, fellas. Shout out to HB. You know what I'm saying? I just seen that a lot on the timeline this weekend. I'm like, what the hell is a shuffle pass? I missed that play.
Yeah. All right. What?
There are a lot of available tickets left for this game. So if you're in town, $20 gets you in the game.
Go check it out. Go check it out. Go support the boys. You only get a few home games a year. So go check out the boys. Good opportunity to bring your family out, get some good seats, see what life is like. Maybe in the rich seats. Maybe you don't want to swing that kind of money for the Tennessee game, an LSU game, Florida State game. You can definitely swing that kind of dough for the McNeese State game. But again, Gators do lose down 0-1 right now. Should be 1-1 this time next week. And we appreciate everybody watching. We'll do one final shout out to our friends over at Alumni Hall. Nick, you have Song of the Week, so go think about it. No sea shanties this week. Go visit our friends at Alumni Hall. If you're going up to Gainesville this weekend or maybe next weekend, go visit them right on Archer Road or go visit them at alumnihall.com. Anything that you want, Florida Gators, from polos to T-shirts to grilling accessories, tailgate accessories, Christmas ornaments, Christmas presents, whatever it might be, go check out Alumni Hall, the best place to get Florida Gator wear.
And real quick, hey, Tennessee week. We'll get Nick's on 1 second. Tennessee week. Anybody got tailgates, any vibrations going on? The city should be electric. We hanging out, we vlogging, and me, the guys, the crew, Lion, we hanging out. We in the city. Make sure y'all find us if y'all want to make this fire content. But we vlogging a little bit. So
yeah. And
catch up with your favorite podcast.
Absolutely. We will let you guys know where we're going to be at. Again, follow us on social media. And then if you are still here, we appreciate all of you guys. Huge live stream today. I think we had over 1,000 people or so come in and out throughout the show today. But
and also, Same Energy Sunday this evening, anywhere between 5 and 7 p.m. We're going to crank that up, man. So be on the lookout for that. It should be an eventful show, I would say.
Eventful, definitely. Don't envy being in your spot right now. But again, before we head out, do hit that like button, hit the share button, make sure you subscribe. Everything else, we will be here each and every week around this time. Nick, your Song of the Week, brother.
Yeah, sad news this weekend with Jimmy Buffett passing away. One of my favorite artists, the legend.
Here's a Jimmy Buffett story. So in my younger days, I was doing pest control on Palm Beach Island, right? So I'm at this property, and this guy comes out. It wasn't Jimmy. It was somebody in his family. This is before what's his beer? I forget. Long Shark, I think,
yeah.
Right? What's it called? I think it's called that. But dude comes out, give me a big 24 Land Shark. Yeah. He gives me this big 24 case. They hadn't even hit the streets yet. And he's like, hey, man, this is Jimmy Buffett's beer. You know, take it home. Instead of a tip, it was around Christmas time. So they gave me a case of beer. So rest in peace to Jimmy Buffett. I used to kill bugs on his property as a pest control tech.
Yeah, now Jimmy Buffett. I know my mom's a huge fan of Jimmy Buffett. Great music. Really created an entire, I think him and the Beach Boys kind of created that entire genre of beach drinking music. It is always 5 o'clock somewhere. We will always remember Jimmy Buffett because of that. But great music. Really, still love Jimmy Buffett to this day. So very, very sad to hear. So rest in peace to a legend.
So I'm going to go with plenty of songs to go with, but I'm going to go with Son of a Sailor.
All right.
All right. Well, we will see you at the same corner, same time next week. Go support the boys. Tickets are cheap. And while you're at it, go support our sponsors as well. We will see you guys at the same corner, same time next week.